Hey people, how are you? Listen, we are back again today. Yes. So, welcome. How are you doing today? Checking in on you. Trust you're doing well. Trust everybody's doing well. So, I am doing well too. Beginning of another week. We thank God for this day. And help me tag, like, and share this with somebody before and after. Yes, I do. We got something else juicy to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about matrimony. You know, there's so many things that make marriages not to work. And if you deal with it before and you know, it's a process. You have to keep dealing with, you deal with it before and you deal with it in between. You don't just say, I dealt with it before and then you just like, that's it, I'm done. No, you have to keep on dealing with it because, you know, if you want anything to work well, you have to keep working. Marriage is, we work. We keep working and working and working and working, people. So matrimony, PI. I can never say that enough. PI. Private investigate. So you're going to dig into the money affairs. Money affairs is very important. Money affairs. We have to deal with money. Because if you don't take care of money, you just don't know how many marriages have, you know, been wrecked just because of money. People not talking about it, people not working on it, people not taking steps that they need to take concerning matrimony. What is the money gonna be like? What is the money like right now? So right now that you're seeing, before you say yes I do, what is the money like? I'm not saying you should marry for money, definitely not. But you don't want to marry somebody that is in debt of 300,000. It doesn't make sense. Because once you marry that person and they are into a debt of 300,000, it becomes a marital debt. And so unless you have a prenup, you know, in Western world they have what they call a prenup, where is however you came in is how you go out. So everything I acquire, even right there, it's mine, it's yours. So, you know, it's very important. Matrimony is very important. We cannot throw it under the bus. We cannot like, he doesn't matter. Oh, I love him. Oh, I love him so much. We don't need to talk about money. No, we need to talk about money. I need to know what your credit score is. If you're in the Western world where credit score is very important, well, I need to know what your credit score is. Now, if in a place where credit score, they don't even know what credit score is, then you want to find out, my friend, how much debt are you into? Before I put my end in here, do you have a job? Do you have a job? You know, God was very careful. I have to go back to the Bible. God was very careful when he created Adam. And I was talking to a dear friend of mine. I said, you know, God created Adam. And he told Adam, till the garden, which is work. You don't have a job, you shouldn't be talking about marriage at all. You shouldn't be considering marriage. Because the first assignment, God made sure that Adam had something to do. He made a garden. He put him in the garden. He said, Adam, till the garden and keep the garden. So two responsibility that he was supposed to do. Before God brought Eve, what are you talking about? See, women, God loves us. So God loves women. I mean, with special love. God did not put Eve there. Say, Eve, till the garden. Say, I'm going to talk about Eve someday. All these Eve that are tilling the garden. All these Eve that have decided that, you know what, Adam, you don't worry. You be the helper, let me be the tiller of the garden. That's a different story. But let's talk about matrimony in, before, yes, and after. Before and after, yes, I do. You have to check the person's debt. How much debt do they have? Even after you're married, you want to ask the person, hey, me and you are living together, but how much debt do you have? Maybe every year we have to come together. Let's see what the financial status of this family is. You know, because sometimes some families are just blinded about how much debt they're into. Everybody just, you know, just spending, and we're not even thinking about how much debt are we really into? How much investment do we have? How much money do we have saved up? I know you're saving your money. I know I'm saving my money, but can we say as a family, this is what sometimes you say, oh, Elon Musk, net worth, Bill Gates, net worth, Buhari, net worth, Dangote, net worth. How do you think they came about that net worth? Because they collated everything they had. So even as a family, you have to know this family net worth. What is the net worth of this family? Or nobody knows. You don't know the net worth of your family. That's a shame. But you need to ask questions. So before you get into, you want to know the net worth of that person. Whether you want to know the net worth of the female, well, that's fine. But my money is mine. So you know my net worth or you don't know my net worth is irrelevant, because ain't nothing going to change or drop to you. I'm sorry. You're the man. So you need to know how much debt, how much credit they have. And you need to know if they have things like student loan, how much is a student loan? Because that's a debt that is coming into the family. So we need to know, and we need to plan. So if our debt is, let's say 50,000, so we need to work on, are you going to pay off this debt before we go into the marriage? You have to have a plan. You have to have, that's why I say you cannot say I marry for love, because love is blind. So you go, I love her so much, I love him so much, this person has a debt of 300,000, I love him so much, I'm just going to marry him. The debt become yours. It doesn't make sense. So you have to have a plan. In the beginning, do your matrimony. Think about your matrimony. How is this money going to be? How are we going to manage our finances? Before it even comes, you have to know how much money is coming in, how much debt I have, how is my credit and stuff like that. So when you take that, you can say, okay, you have a debt of 100,000. What's your plan? You have to ask that person you're about to say yes to. Boy, you have a debt of 100,000. What's your plan? How do you intend to pay it off? I hope you're not waiting on me to come and start working and jacking myself to help you pay off your debt, because that's not going to work. You see, that's why it's important to talk about it from the go-get, from the beginning, before you enter the door. So do not be like, I didn't know. You had to know now. Knowledge, they say, is power. And Bible says that, I'll go back again, that my people perish for lack of knowledge. When we know God, we will not walk in darkness. That's the thing. When we have the light of God, we will not walk in darkness. So I want to encourage you, PI, matrimony. So check the bills. Check how much debt they have. That's number one. Another thing that breaks up marriages is our sexual expectations. You need to find out, is this person on the go 7 days a week kind of person? Check their upbringing. What do they think about, sexual interaction? Some people are the ones that, they want it. Some people are like, they don't really care whether they get it or not. It's the truth. So sometimes you need to discuss it. I don't say do it now. I did not say do it. It's discussion. That's why it's good to communicate. Talk about stuff. If you cannot communicate now, trust me, you cannot communicate when you have said yes, I do. It is what is happening now that's going to happen when it's after yes, I do. So now is the time when you want to communicate and ask questions, and you get used to communicating, because communication is also one of the reasons why marriages don't work. When the couples do not communicate, they don't talk with each other. When they have a problem, because they've not learned to communicate. Once they have problems, they just don't know. It's not because they don't want to fix it. It's just they don't know how to fix it, because one very important thing, communication is broken, and they don't know how to communicate about that thing. So that's one thing also. So sexual expectations, what is that person expecting? What do they want? Let's talk about another thing that also, impacts marriages. And these are things you have to discuss. Let's talk about friends and family interaction or visitation. Some people have their families come over and the families never want to leave. Some people like, my families are not going to come over. Some people say, okay, your family not coming over, my family not coming over. So you have to discuss stuff like that. How do we handle your mom wants to come and visit, or your dad wants to come and visit? Do we give her like a time limit? Do we say, okay, you can stay 3 days or 3 weeks? Or do we want, actually, let me talk about the Bible again. In Israel, once a newlywed couple, go away for a year, they're not supposed to work, they're not supposed to do anything, no family visitation, no nothing, because it's time for the couple to know themselves. But sometimes marriages get trained, because right from the get-go, of yes I do, they attach somebody, family member with you, or take your sister with you, or take your brother with you, or even worse, when the parents or somebody comes and stay with you. These people don't even know themselves yet, and you're putting people in, no privacy, no nothing. So that's not really good. But these are things you have to talk about from before you say yes I do. And even after you have said yes I do, is communicate to find out, okay, now we're married, let's talk about family visitation, or friends want to come around. What do you do with our friends? What do we do with our friends? You know, I think it's a good thing to talk about. You talk about your religious affiliations. Religious affiliations. This person likes to go to church. The other person don't be unequally yoked anyway. So you want to actually marry somebody that believes the way you do, because if you don't, there's going to be frustration and there's going to be stress. Because when you want to pray, they don't want. When you want to fast, they don't want. So, you know, that's why the Bible says that be not unequally yoked. So you want to make sure you marry somebody that is at your spiritual level and believe the way you do also. And then you also want to talk about your career and educational prospects. So your career intention. Now, maybe you have a first degree, or maybe you don't even have any degree, but you want to get married as a wife. Of course, a man, you must have a job. So what do you want? Do you want to go back to school? How would you like to go back to school? Is it after the first child, after the second child? Oh, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about how many children. Listen, it's very important. From the go-get, are we going to have children of our own, or are we going to adopt? If we're going to, how many do we want? And just in case, what happens if we're not? When do we even want to start, child rearing? Do you want to start child rearing right after, 3 years after, 5 years after? These are discussions that we want to have, and it's always good to be very open to your spouse. We have people who low sperm count, or people who had stuff done to them when they were young, and they know they cannot conceive, but they never told their partner. This is when the discussion comes in. The discussion comes in right now when we talk about child rearing. You're going to say, listen, I don't know, let's do a medical check. Just make sure that, don't test you. I'll tell you, I am not in support of testing. It's never going to work. So you're just going to decide and say the truth. If you've had STDs, let the person know, I've had STDs in the past, and I don't know how bad it was. We never can know. So you want to let people know. That's why I say it's very important that you PI the person. Don't just go into it. You need to know. You need a clean medical record. So this also comes in when you talk about child rearing, because if you have had STDs in the past, it may impact your ability to conceive or your ability to get somebody pregnant. So they go together. So you need to talk about that too. So I think that'll be all for today. So yeah, we discussed about, we talk about matrimony. You need to talk about the money. You need to talk about expectations, sexual expectations, whatever you're going to expect from the other person. I'm going to expect you to give it to me every time, morning, afternoon, night. If I don't even go to work, don't go to work. Just don't go to work. Just quit your job, because we're going to be banging every time. That's fine too. So people are like, I don't even want you to touch me. So everybody have their expectation. Some open for discussion. Discuss it now. Discuss it after you say yes I do. So nobody is like, I didn't know that was it was. I didn't know you're like that. I know. Let's get it straight from the go-get. So nobody is like blindsided, like I didn't know. No, you need to know. It only comes by discussion. It doesn't come by you trying it out. It comes by you discussing it and letting this person know, this is how I feel about this, and this is what I think about this, and this is what do you think about this? So talk about it. Communication is very important. All these things I said now is about communication. If you cannot communicate, you cannot discuss the bills. You cannot talk about the credits. You cannot talk about the debt. You cannot talk about educational pursuits. Hey, see who joined me today, grandma, my own grandma. Thank you for joining. So you cannot talk about all this stuff. So education, communication is very important before yes I do and after yes I do. If all the man wants to do when he sees you before you yes I do is touch you, but you cannot open your mouth to talk. you have to know that that relationship is not going to really be fruitful because there's no communication. It's only touchy. No, you need more than touchy. I need you to talk to me. Don't be trying to put your mouth in my mouth every time you see me. No, I need you to put your mouth away and, let's talk. Let's talk about finances. Let's talk about credits. Let's talk about how much debt you have. Let's talk about educational pursuit. Let's talk about what are we going to do when your parents come to visit or your friends want to come and visit. Because I cannot be just sleeping and your friends are banging on the door without me even knowing that they were even coming. But you know they were coming, but I wasn't aware. I'm supposed to wake up 12 minutes and cook because your friends are here. So we need to talk about how we're going to handle stuff like that. Vacation. You need to talk about vacation. How are we going to do with vacation? Are we going to be a couple that never go on vacation? Are we going to be a couple that you have to decide all this before you even go in? And even after you go in, you have to also talk about how we're going to maintain this relationship, because every good relationship is maintained. You don't maintain it, whatever you get out of it, you know that it's nobody's fault, but it's your fault because you never took time to talk about it. So communicate now. Now, if you do not communicate now before you go in, you are not going to be able to communicate after you go in. If it's a case of where you're talking and the guy is never listening to you, after you marry, he is not going to listen to you either. There is no magic. You cannot change anybody. I think that's what I did last time. Nobody can change anybody. So if you're in a relationship right now, you cannot open your mouth. You cannot talk. It's like everything you have to say is senseless. Listen. Do not listen. You're getting my check. Do not think again. Do not go into it or think again. Think it over before you go into it. Do you want to go into a relationship where you cannot talk to your husband or you cannot talk to the wife? And mostly always the men anyway, because women will talk. But most of the time the men just don't want to listen. So you have to make sure, is this person going to listen? Is this person going to talk to me? Not just listening to me anyway, but also talking and being a part of the conversation so we can get to a solution. If you do not communicate, you can never solve any problem. Anytime any people cannot communicate, no problem can be solved. And you cannot solve a problem with boa and your wife. Bo. You think the way for me to get my wife to submit is to bo her. That's not the way to get her to submit. You think the way to get your wife to listen is to boa all the time so that she will listen? No, it's communication. It is very key in marriage, not just in marriage, but in every relationship, even at work. If you cannot communicate at work, you're in trouble because you got to communicate to get a job. It's called interview. When they interview you, they want to see how you communicate. So you want to be a manager, you have to be able to communicate with your peers or your team. If you cannot, communication breakdown, the department is going to be broken. So the same thing with marriage, we have to make sure that you communicate. So it's something that you have to talk about too. Like, how are we going to be communicating? We have to communicate. It's just the way it is. So please do not make your communication text. If all you want to do is text, no. I need face to face. I need face to face, girl, face to face. I need to talk to you. If every time I want to talk to you, you don't have time for me, you just want me, text me. That means when you get married, it's text me. That's all you get. But today, I hope that you're going to take this and add it to your pile and add it to, your treasure box and begin to work on it. Before, yes, I do. If you're in the after, yes, I do. And you see some of these things may help you, well, pick it up and go in your treasure box and see, okay, let me rearrange some stuff here. And if I never ask my husband about the bills, let me ask him. Because, women, you need to know. Somebody just lost her husband of recent. And she don't know what the bills, what this is. I say you should have asked. You see, women, that is after I do. After yes, I do. That is it. After yes, I do, you need to know. You cannot say, I don't know. And that's what more happens to most women when they just lose their husband, because they don't know. They never asked. And if you ask your husband, he's not telling you, well, you begin to dig in. You have to dig in your house and find out, okay, this bill, what bills do they pay in this house? Begin to dig in. Maybe when bill comes, just take a notebook, write those things down, write those things that really help for widows, especially so that when the man is gone, because listen, statistically, men die earlier than women, statistically. So the probability that you are going to outlive your husband is high. It's higher than your husband outliving you. There are more widows than widowers. So that's what it is statistically. So women live longer. Good thing. So, or no good thing, I don't know. but you need to know and communicate about the bills, parenting styles, your credit, your debt, religion, friends and family visitation, sexual expectations, career and education, of course, definitely your matrimony. Check your money. Money is very vital in this life, and it makes the marriage go round or can make the marriage go downward. So hopefully you're going to, begin to work on some stuff that we need to work on. Take care. I'll see you next time on Before and After Yes I Do.